Welcome to the Next Level Podcast with your host, which is I, Dr. Leslie. I am so excited today because I have one of my most favorite people in the world on my show. Yeah, I said it.
I was like, who else is on? I literally was like looking like, wait, there's no one there. Someone's late. Me?
The seats are all empty.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what is going on? Who else is on? I couldn't figure out who the other guest was.
Okay, but do you know why you're my most favorite person?
Tell me why.
Okay, because, well, many reasons. You're super cool.
Name
and
40.
Super funny. 40, I have a list. But no, we have a really cool dynamic. You are the owner of Sticky Paws Studios.
Yes, say that 20 times fast.
You know what it sounds like when you say Sticky Paws Studios? Okay, it sounds like, and I know this because at my other work, my day job, at Trim Care, my boss, partner, I got really excited because I was having my podcast here and he's like, what did you just say? I said, Sticky Paws Studios. He's like, sticky prostitutes? And I'm like, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
I
See,
mean,
that's what a man hears, you know?
That too, well, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that is kind of fun, right?
Yeah, sure.
I mean,
it's Vegas.
anything goes here.
Happens every day out here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So at Sticky Prostitutes that you own.
There you go.
Where all of you who are thinking about having your podcast, you need to do it here, right? Drop
For
that
sure.
Seed. Of course, it's amazing. And you have your own podcast.
Yeah, Action Junkeez. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I host Action Junkeez, and then we're expanding the Junkeez brand as much as possible. So there's Fitness Junkeez, which I think you're going to go on with Gio.
I am.
And there's Austin, who's behind the rig right now, has Bizarre Junkeez. And we've got Gridiron Junkeez, and eventually there'll be Sports Junkeez, Golf Junkeez, Movie Junkeez, everything Junkeez. So,
I love it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
And it's mostly like a guy thing, or do you have things that
No,
chick
yeah,
things?
like we'll have like beauty junkies, like we'll have gossip junkies, all that kind of stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah, but I guess for the initial launch of shows, I guess we are kind of doing like what you would think would be the guy shows first. I don't know why, it just kind of worked out that way.
Because it's a bunch of dudes that are doing the podcast.
Probably, yeah, because there's not enough girls that work here to do the girl shows. Yeah,
you need definitely some chicks in there.
Yeah, they're coming.
They are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm sure they are. Anyways, so you're my favorite person because obviously we connected through the podcast and I love this and I'm addicted and it's cool. I actually want to tell a little bit of story, how we met and you became my favorite person. So, and for all of those people out there that are like into manifestation and all the things that we talk about on my podcast. So I had this amazing intention aligning with what I want to create as my brand and becoming a public figure and helping people really just from my experiences and the experiences of others, like share really practical ways that we can like heal and get to the next level in our life. And just being on social media, one day you just DM'd me.
Yep.
You look like a girl that needs a podcast.
Yep.
Something like that. That's how it started. Just like that. I was fucking invited and literally the rest was history. I'm like, yes, I think I do. I had no idea that I was going to end up here. The thought didn't even cross my mind. I was thinking YouTube and social media and all those old ways of trying to, share things. And then we came in studio and we chatted and I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. I love it. Love you. Love the whole concept and everything. So do you believe in manifestation or what is your process? Since, I have mine, but I want to hear about yours.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I mean, my process. Yeah. I mean, I guess I do to a certain degree. I'm a pretty positive person. Mm-hmm. But for me, it just boils down more to like just tenacity, because, I think I'm all for the manifestation. I think that's a piece of it. But a lot of people don't do the next steps. Like you can't just think about it. There's got to be some action. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. So you can will it all you want, but if there's no follow up and follow through, it's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. And so like that DM that I sent you, like I'm always looking for interesting, like what I would think would be talent, either as a guest or a host, or sometimes having someone on as a guest becomes the gateway to them becoming a host. Because like you said, it's very addicting, this stuff. It's a fun outlet. It's creative. And there's no barrier to entry. I mean, even if you were thinking about getting into a podcast and you can't afford to do this kind of setup, you got your iPhone. It's all you need. Your iPhone on a tripod and selfie mode, and you're a podcaster. I mean, so that's pretty cool that in 2023 now, where, when I started doing stand-up comedy, which is back in 93, I needed someone to hire me to perform. I don't need that anymore in a way. You know what I mean? Like you can do this, and this can be an extension of your stand-up. Let's say, if you wanted to do a comedic type of podcast, like you can put yourself out there, obviously on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, and get discovered. Justin Bieber was discovered on YouTube. I mean,
right.
We live in a world now that's amazing that if you take advantage of technology, you don't need to have a boss, and you don't need someone to quote unquote hire you for something. I mean, it's really cool. So I think that the manifestation part is the stepping stone, but you got to make sure that you follow up and that you are tenacious in that follow up with whatever you want to do, whether it's podcasting or whatever it is you want to do. You want to be a chef, you want to be a realtor, whatever it is, you got to, it's playing the blame game of your circumstance or, it's easy to find reasons and easy to put obstacles in front of you, self-imposed. That's easy to do. Well, I can't because of this. I can't because of that. That's easy to do. But I did, even though, is a much better way to go.
And it feels so fucking good when you can say that,
For
right?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a badass then. You feel like superhero.
Yeah. I mean, so many times, when I first, you've met Vanessa, my better half, the pint-sized warrior. And,
yes.
When we
She's
first started, earlier in the relationship, she was getting to know me and like my job and my work, she comes from a very structured upbringing. Mom is a computer programmer. Her dad was an art professor. So they're 9 to 5. Her dad's obviously very creative because he's an artist, but they're very structured 9 to 5ers. And that's what she knows. And she grew up in Modesto. I grew up with a silver spoon in my fucking mouth, with a famous dad, and endless possibilities, was told to me when I was a kid, as my mom, my dad, you could do anything, be a dreamer and that. So I was brought up completely different. So sky was the limit, to me. And so I had to like really explain to her, like, what my lifestyle is like when it comes to work. It's, I eat what I kill. On 1 month I could do, 5, even 6 figures in a month. And sometimes I can go 2 months and literally make nothing. Right. And that is like shocking information for people that haven't grown up, and been around like a true entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. That can be a really like crazy thing. And I used to tell her, like, number one is like, I don't take no. Like, she has heard me on the phone pitching things or read email threads where it's like the guy's like, no. And I'm like, I did a bad job explaining this though, then if you're saying no, and here's why. And I will keep going and repackaging it and repositioning it until I get sometimes you just, it still stays no, but you got to tell me no a good 8 to 10 times before I accept no. And then I don't even hear it as no. I just hear it as not right now. And I'll talk to you in 3 to 6 months.
That's amazing. Okay, like really that was golden for everyone listening. Like the tenacity, you very practically, specifically said there's no.
Right.
Like that's not an option in your psychology.
No.
And so the other piece that I'm hearing is you grew up with this incredible already like mindset where you can have anything. Like most people out there who didn't grow up with a silver spoon in their mouth and like a famous father and have access to whatever, they're challenged with that. So that foundation is super, super important is to get clear. Like you could just create whatever, and then follow through with it with your tenacity. So people really do need to first know what they want and know they can have it.
Right.
And then you just do whatever the fuck it takes to get there.
Yeah.
Don't say.
And a lot of people that listen to this may say, oh, well, yeah, but he had a famous father, so it was easy. And like, yes, some things perhaps that could be true. But believe me, I've done plenty of things that completely unrelated, not name dropping my dad or had not his name, not even coming into the equation. Like when I used to own a PR firm. So I did stand-up comedy for 10 years. I owned a PR firm for 10 years. And with Gio from Fitness Junkeez, who you'll be doing some stuff with. I mean, I remember sitting around the office like it was like literally, I don't know, 3 weeks before Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week, which was like a big deal twice a year in LA, and I think New York too, but we were in LA at the time. And I was like, we should do an event around Fashion Week. We were just trying to think of how do we drum up some extra money with the PR firm. And we literally created, I was like, okay, so to do Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week, you have to have, don't quote me on the pricing, but let's say it's 50 to 100 grand minimum if you're a designer and you want to present your line at Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week. It might even be more money than that by the time you're done with everything. Mm-hmm. But I was like, what does an up-and-coming designer do? What is a designer that doesn't have that kind of money and they only have a couple grand or maybe up to $5,000 to do a fashion show? Let's be the answer for that. And we created literally in the office, I remember like 9 o'clock at night eating pizza after throwing all these fucking stupid ideas around, and we came up with Who's Next, What's Next fashion show. It was a fashion show for the up-and-coming who's next, what's next. So it was for up-and-coming designers, gadgets, products, whatever. And so we went after new designers to be the fashion, for the fashion show piece. And then for sponsors, Coca-Cola is not going to back us, or Ford or Aston Martin or something. So we went after new gadgets, new products, new energy drink, her energy drink, different brands that were back. This is again 20 years ago already. Sure. But, created that literally out of thin air. And we did that show spring and fall for 7 years.
Wow.
And made good money doing it.
That's awesome.
It's just event, it's just a hook for an event. I mean, that's something that obviously had didn't matter that my dad was who he was or anything. That was just an idea that was just born in a small little office on Melrose in LA.
Right. That's so cool. So there's a creative process that goes along with you coming up with the ideas. So famous dad or not, you still had to create that fucking idea that you can then act upon. So what do you do for your creative process? Like, what's involved in that? Like, do you get into a state? Do you need to have certain people around? Do you play like some specific music or like?
No, it's going to sound crazy.
Insight.
You're probably not going to like my answer because it's not going to be too.
Come on, John.
It's not going to be really cool. It's not going to be really cool. Shit just comes to me. I don't know how else to say it.
Oh, how much do we hate him
I know.
Now?
Yeah. No. A lot of dumb shit comes to me. But once in a while, some nuggets of gold. Yeah. It just comes to me. A lot of times when I'm in my car, I'm quiet. I don't really listen to music in my car anymore. I did a long time ago, but the last, let's say 10, 15 years, I know that sounds crazy, but I just drive in silence and I'm just deep in thought. And I'm like, that's where I just kind of check out and zone out. Or late night. I'm a night owl, like late at night. When everyone's asleep and phones aren't ringing and emails and texts aren't coming in. Even if I'm watching TV, my wheels are always turning.
It's the same with me. So that is a little tidbit, right?
Yeah.
You get still.
Yeah.
Right. And so you have that time like in your car. I love being in my car. I used to meditate in my car. Like I will just go for a fucking drive.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I need some creative juices. I just need to like debrief from the day, whatever it was that I was dealing with. And I'll just drive, like take a drive around the city or go somewhere. And I mean, I'm more of an active process, but I mean, a lot of guys are like this. They don't even know what they do.
We're
clearly.
Cavemen. We're too simple. We don't have it. Yeah. Good idea.
Your motive is just like, I don't want to fucking be here. I just need to leave me alone.
Yeah.
And
eat pasta. We don't have this thought process.
I'm just fucking going for a drive. You don't know why you're going for a drive. Right. And then you have like this brilliant idea. Women were like, oh, I need to decompress.
Right.
I need to discharge my energy. Very real. And I'm like that too. I'm making fun of myself. But so quiet is what I'm hearing.
Quiet,
yeah. So you can like do whatever cavemen do.
Yes.
Like women, we call it connecting or feeling the energy or whatever. But it's just getting quiet, having your time.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay. Kind of helpful there. So let's go into your famous dad.
Yeah, sure.
Right. So we're going to throw it back a little bit to growing up. Let's open up some wounds here, John.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't know if I have too many wounds, but yeah.
I know. I'm just teasing. Maybe I'm not. Let's open up some wounds, John.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I'm kidding. So, like, what was it like growing up? Like, it was cool, silver spoon. You can have, positivity and all the things, but there's got to be some challenges of having a father that was so famous.
Yeah, it didn't come till later though. So so those listening, my dad is Tony Orlando, If you're under the age of 52, you may need to do a Google search or ask your mom or your grandma who that is. But he was a pretty famous singer in the 70s.
And they will all know who he is, like Tony and the Don,
Tony
right?
Orlando and Don. Yeah, and
Yeah,
he had a TV show on CBS for 3 years in the 70s, mid 70s, and his famous song "Knock 3 Times" or "Tie a Ribbon Around the Old Oak Tree." That's a mouthful, but he had a few number one hits. And back then when he had his TV show, there was no cable TV, no direct TV, no satellite TV, not even Fox Network. There was just CBS, NBC, ABC. There was literally 3 networks to pick from, national networks, and then maybe 1 or 2 local networks. So you basically had 5 channels. So the odds were that on Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock, you tuned into the Tony Orlando and Dawn show at some stage of the game between 1973 and 1977, just because you didn't have a choice. There was nothing else on to watch. So you ended up seeing him just by default at some point. So I was little back then. I was born in 70, so I was age 3 to 7 when he was like at his peak. So I didn't know any better growing up. I mean, it was my dad. Like it didn't seem to be like that big of a deal. I mean, I obviously knew it was different than others, because we would go to, I remember being a little kid, we were at Disneyland and I was obsessed with Mickey Mouse and Chip and Dale. The little chipmunks,
Yep.
And I remember I was standing in...
They're perverts, by the way, just to digress. When
like
I was there.
If you're at the park?
Yeah, I had one of the Chip, I think it was Chip, not Dale,
the one with the black nose. Chip is the black nose.
That's right.
Yeah.
In Orlando, when I was like 14, I was dancing in Orlando from whatever.
Yeah.
And I went up, I wanted a picture with him, and he's like, I can't even say... He totally hit on me, said something really inappropriate.
Yeah. Well, but let's be fair. You're like 5'10" or something. So when you were 14, you probably looked every bit of 21.
I was scraggly.
In defense of Chip.
I was scraggly, and my skin is transparent naturally. Like I'm opaque, and you can see all of my veins. I was not that cute of a 14-year-old.
All right.
It was really creepy. He hit on me, and I was just...
Creepy little Chip, huh?
He was. Anyway.
Yeah. But I stood in this line... I thought to get a picture with Mickey Mouse, how the characters roam around the park and stuff. And I was in this line forever. And I remember my mom was like sitting on a bench right near the line. And I'm in this line, and I kept saying like Mickey Mouse, Mickey Mouse. I was like probably 3 or 4, and I get to the front of the line, and I was not in line for Mickey Mouse. I was in a Tony Orlando autograph line and did not know it. I did not know it, and I started to cry because when I got to the front of the line, it was not Mickey. It was this dude with a mustache. Like, fuck this guy. It's my dad. Like, what the hell? Where's the mouse? I was really upset, and that was when my mom was explaining like, no, your father's famous, whatever, and he wasn't doing an appearance. He got, word of mouth circulated, and then all of a sudden there was an autograph line and pictures, and he's a nice guy. So 2 hours worth of that was Disneyland. So that was like that everywhere we went, Dodger games, wherever, people would always be coming up to him. He was in his heyday. He had #1 records, a #1 TV show, and it was literally the equivalent of like literally being like a Justin Timberlake or a Justin Bieber or he was that famous. It was on the cover of everything back then. So I don't know any better. So growing up, it really wasn't a thing in my head. It wasn't until later in life, later being 21 through yesterday. That I feel pressure to live up to, carry the torch or live up to a certain standard of success. Mm-hmm. And it was really hard. I had some really depressing times, like in my late 20s, early 30s, because I felt like I missed the mark and I didn't live up to what I kind of had in my head as what I wanted to do, what I wanted to be, and how successful I wanted to be. And I felt like I didn't even come close. Not that I could ever fill his shoes, but I wasn't even, on the same shoe wall, and that really messed with me for a while. There was a chunk of my life, maybe from, 28 to 31 specifically, where I don't want to say depressed, but kind of I had some dark days.
So what was that experience? Like, how did you manifest it, or what did that look like in your life when you were in this maybe depressed? Were you feeling lost? Were you were you doing your PR firm at that time? Like, what did life look like? I'm wanting to understand sort of how you coped. What did that look like for you?
Yeah, I was doing stand-up comedy. I didn't have the PR firm yet. So I did stand-up from the age of like 22 until 31, from 93 to basically 2002. So
it was like therapy for you, probably, the stand-up?
Well, yeah, that's funny too. It should have been, but it wasn't. The material that I did, because, I had like a reverse comedy career, because that definitely was because my dad was famous, I became a comedian, and it was literally handed to me on a silver platter because I started opening for him. And so I didn't have to do what, all of these comedians that are so great, like the Joe Rogans and the Chris Rocks, and started open mic night and grind your way through 5 minutes at a comedy club and really live the life of a true comedian. It was handed me on a silver platter. Here, you open for me and do 5 minutes, and we'll work your way up. And, the 5 minutes that I did was absolutely horrible for a very long time. Bad. Like, I can't when I look at old tape, and I don't anymore, but when I used to, I literally be like, how the fuck could you let me go out there like that? Like, that was like so bad.
And what did your dad say?
Well, you're my son. Like, it is what it is. No big deal. Like, we were in Branson, Missouri. He had a theater back then, and we did 2 shows a day, 6 days a week for 7 years. So I got a lot of stage time, a lot of experience. And, by the end of the first year, I was doing maybe 15, 20 minutes. But still, I wouldn't say I was a great comedian. I was just there trying. But eventually I worked it up to where I was opening for like people like Tom Jones and Paul Anka and Dionne Warwick, the Four Tops, the Temptations, Shania Twain, Faith Hill. I mean, I went over some big people, over a 10-year span. And I'll give myself credit for being good, not great. But that bothered me that I was just good, not great. And I just felt like, when I turned 30, how, like, I'm sure you do this, like, when you're 18, you have a goal, right, of where you're going to be at 21 or 25 and 30 and whatever it is we picture we're going to do. And I think for most, it doesn't go down the way we picture. For most, maybe for a handful of freaks of nature that just either they're overachievers, or they get it and they win in life early and they figure it out. I didn't figure it out,
Which is most people.
Yeah. Sure. And so I feel like most people kind of miss the mark that they set for themselves. And it really bothered me that I was like that, because I wanted it, but I also, the flip side is I wanted it, but I absolutely did not work hard enough to get there, period. Like, not even fucking close. I didn't realize that at the time, or if I did, I ignored it. But I definitely did not work. Like, when I think about like what I dedicated to like the craft of stand-up, like, what the fuck was I doing? Like, I did not work hard enough writing new material. Like, I had a set act, and back then it was different. There was no social media to expose you. Like, right now, if you're Joe Rogan, let's say, and you do a 26 city tour with a certain hunk of material, right? And usually it's in the form of and then it becomes a Netflix special, right? So he'll tour for a year, get the stuff tight, or he'll do comedy clubs for a year, work on all the different pieces of material, get it tight, then shoot a Netflix special, then take that tour on the road for, let's say, a year and go all over, right? And then the following year, new material, or maybe it takes 2 years to get the new hour or 55 minutes, and then just keep wash, rinse, repeat. Right. Back now, that's the name of the game. Joe Rogan could never like come to Vegas twice with the same show. He wouldn't do it.
Right.
Because it's already out there. It's a Netflix special. You're not going to go. Back then, it was a little different. Comedians could have a hunk of material that they literally performed, I'm not kidding you, 10 years.
Yeah.
Literally 10 years, never change a thing, maybe tweak a little bit of the jokes, whatever. It was just different back then. It was a different model. Yes. So I just didn't work hard enough at like maybe trying to get onto a sitcom or acting or parlay it into something. Like, I worked 15 minutes a night, 6 days a week, 2 shows. So 30 minutes a day, let's say, 6 days a week. And then I just fucked off the other time, like, going out to eat, going to movies, whatever. Like, I didn't work on all through my 20s. I mean, that's crazy.
So did you have any prep time? Or did you just have that material and then you
I got that material,
and
and once it worked, like I'd work out the jokes, and that takes a little bit of time, some more easier than others. And then once you got like I would call like a tight 20 minutes. So it's basically I was 20-minute opening act. Sometimes I'd stretch to 30. Sometimes, if my dad was running late, he'd leave me out there 40 minutes and I'm like literally just talking to the audience, just playing what they call "Where You From" or what they call crowd work. Where you from? You're on a date, and just making nothing out of something or something out of nothing. But once you had like that tight 20 to 25 minutes, that was my act, like for a long time.
Cruise control.
And now you couldn't get away with that today. There's no way, because it'd be the same shit on Instagram. They'd be crucifying you. If 4 years telling the same jokes. Can you imagine? Like you'd be like, dude.
No,
get some new material. Yeah. So
they need to bring that hook back. They
right.
have the stage.
Yeah.
I guess now it's you're ridiculed on TikTok or whatever.
Yeah.
Like they're just.
So I just I feel like I let myself down and didn't live up to. I thought I'd be like famous by the time I used to tell I'll be famous by the time I'm 25. Like no problem. And like that didn't happen.
That way.
No.
So when did it switch for you? Like what was it that switched? You said around 30, 31, 32.
I had some really dark times from the time I turned 30.
So like rock bottom hit?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, fucked my life up real good in 2000. Yeah.
Humans were like ridiculously dumb. Like we learn through pain, which is good and bad. I mean, we have to kind of go to a low to be like, okay, what's happening here, to then make a change. Some people don't. Some people have those epiphanies or whatever. Those are very, very few people. Like, again, those freaks of nature that just have those easy lives. They just, I just don't think this is working anymore, and I'm just going to make a change. Yeah. So what was that? Like, what happened?
Well, from the time I turned 30 to 31, I went through an obnoxious amount of money that I had, doing stupid shit, partying. I never really drank and did drugs my whole life. But when I turned 30, I dabbled in some things that probably weren't too good for me. And
just a taste.
Yeah, maybe every week a taste. And it got pretty bad just screwing around. Went through all the money, ended up, from the time I turned 30 to 31, it was literally a complete 180 in the wrong direction. And when I woke up at 31 years old on September 8th of 2001, I was completely broke. I owed some really bad people a lot of fucking money from like gambling debts, and had some crazy wild shit happen to me. Had a guy put a gun to my head at one point looking for the money, and it was some rough times.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
Make you kind of think twice about what is happening.
Thought about doing some unthinkable things here in Vegas to just end it all. It was really rough. And then 3 days after that was September 11th. And I remember I used to go to bed literally 4 or 5 a.m., sometimes 6 a.m., and wake up at noon or 1. Like that was my life for many, many years. And because I didn't have to be on stage till 8 o'clock at night or 7 o'clock at night, so whatever. And for whatever reason, I woke up at like 7 a.m. or 6:45 that morning, and it was just in time. The plane had hit the first tower. And I just happened to turn on the news, and I'm not even a watch the news guy, but I was just flipping channels. Well, it was on every channel,
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa. And then, I saw the second plane hit, and then I saw them both go down. And I actually had two friends that were in the first tower that got hit, and they both died. And my age, one was even younger than me at the time. And that was like my wake-up call. I know that sounds like cliche or whatever, like,
oh my God, not at all. That's real.
That was like real. My, and I remember, I'd lost a lot of weight that year. I started the year. So right now I just weighed myself this morning because I'm on the 10X health plan with Gary Brecka. We'll get to that. Yeah. But so I weigh 183 pounds now. I've just lost 22 pounds. We'll get into how I did all that later. But so just to give it for reference, so I weigh 183 today, and back then my normal weight was like 165. When I was 31. I graduated high school at 145. So when I turned 30 on September 8th of 2000, I weighed 165. When I turned 31 in 2001, I weighed 145. was what I graduated high school at the age of 31. So I was super skinny. Everyone was telling me, you're so skinny, you're so skinny. And I was like, what? I was like, only fat people tell you you're too skinny. That's that's what fat people tell you. And then on September 11th, after I saw those buildings, fall, I jumped in the shower. And when I came out of the shower, I was just looking at myself and I literally was like, you're too fucking skinny. Like, what are you doing? And I just was having like that life is too short kind of thing after seeing all this poor people die from that. And I was like, okay, you got to get your shit together. And that's what I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
I go too deep on you just now?
No, this is excellent, okay. Austin. Come on. This is exactly what we go for on the next level.
Yeah.
So no, the next piece of this is really great because that you had like that epiphany moment, that moment that changed your fucking trajectory. And everybody who kind of has this big transformation has that moment in time where they make that choice.
Right.
Sometimes it's made for us in a way.
Yeah.
You could have always said no, like look in the mirror and be like, whatever, and then go drown yourself in whatever you were doing, the dabbling you were doing.
Right.
So after that, when you made that decision, then what? Like, so because in your upbringing, you kind of, anything is possible. You had all that stuff still in your mind, right? That wasn't removed in all of your, difficulty. What did you do? Did you just take action?
Yeah, the first action was tell mommy and daddy what the fuck you've done.
So the guys, those bad guys don't come with the guns again.
Even that, I didn't have the balls to come completely clean and tell my dad what the real number was.
Surprise, Dad! Now you know.
Yeah.
That's what was going on.
Yeah, so I gave him a number that would get them off my back temporarily so that I could solve the bigger problem. Which was probably dumb at the time. I probably should just come clean, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it because it was like $50K that I owed and I had nothing. Not only did I had nothing, I lost everything. I had a condo in Missouri, got foreclosed on. I had a Mercedes that got repoed. I mean, I lost everything. I didn't have a cell phone. When I started the PR firm, if September 11th, what happened? September 11th, maybe the following Monday, I started the PR firm.
That fast?
After September 11th. And Gio became my partner from Fitness Junkeez. And I was so broke and my credit was so bad, I couldn't even get a cell phone in my name. He had to go buy me a cell phone and put it in his name and give me the phone because I couldn't even get, Sprint or whoever, Nextel or whoever it was back then. I think it was
right.
Nextel. It was Nextel, push to talk. Remember those little walkie-talkie phones? I couldn't even get a cell phone. Wow. I had to have him put a cell phone in my name. This was 2001 and we'd been friends since 1993. So, he helped me out and helped me get dusted off and,
so you had like this one good solid friend.
Yeah, well, I had a bunch of solid friends.
So you had a network, which is really important. That's good.
And no one knew, including Gio. No one knew how bad it was. I kept everything inside. It's why like when you think of like Robin Williams and famous people that commit suicide, and you're like, what? The guy had fucking everything. Or Chester Bennington. All these people like, what the fuck? Like I get it. It's like there's some
your
things. Your
own little nightmare that's just you and your own.
Yeah, and it's like you don't want to tell people. It's hard to tell people that you're at that point, that you've sunk that low. Whatever the circumstance is, it doesn't matter. Even if it's justified, whatever. Like no one wants to admit. And I get it. I was one of those people. And especially me. It's like you do the math on me, and it's like. He grew up fucking with famous dad and rich houses and fancy cars and brand new car at 16. Like, what problems could you possibly have? Then you're ashamed that you have problems.
Yeah.
Because
I shouldn't. And
it's like, I shouldn't have problems. So then that's embarrassing. So it's, I don't say that as like poor me, but it's just, that's the reality of it is you end up, everyone ends up where they end up. And if it's not in a good place, it's hard to tell people that, But Dad helped me out a little bit to get those guys off my back for a minute, and I got back in the gym and started eating and quit fucking popping ecstasy and quit going to Vegas and gambling, and basically took a year of doing everything right. And that's why I always tell people, like, 30 days can change. You can do a 180 in 30 days. I mean, because that doesn't mean you fix everything in 30 days, but you can be absolutely on the right fucking path 30 days from today. If you're going through something, no matter how small or big it is, you can absolutely change your life in 30 days. And then if you give it another 30 days and then another 30 days, I'm not a big 12-step program AA guy with philosophy or anything, but they got that part right. It's like there's a reason why they give you a chip every 30 days if you're in AA or any of those programs, because every 30 days that you do what I call making deposits into the good bank, right, of life, the good, eating right, working out, doing the right things, doing the work on you, looking for the new job and the new opportunity and follow up and follow through. And you do 30 days of that and then another 30 and another 30 and another 30. And you do that times 6 months, right? 180 days of doing that. I don't care what you're doing. If you do 180 days of the right stuff, I promise your life changes, period. It changes
100%.
Before that.
Yeah.
But
for sure.
6 months of it, you are almost there. And 1 year of it, you're there. That might be the finished final product. That's never, we're always a work in progress, right? But you do the consistency. You've trained and you've been in fitness and full well, you've competed, and what that does. There's a reason why, 16 weeks or, there's a reason why fighters, it's like an 8-week camp. Because I mean,
that's right.
Just doing 60 days of the right thing, you're ready to go in a cage and fight for your life, essentially, off of an 8-week camp. I mean, it's longer than that because they train all year, but it's that intense intensity of 8 weeks.
So what is it that kept you on track? Because it is intense and it's a commitment. There's so many pieces that are involved in that. What made you so determined to stay on that path?
That's a good question.
These are the things that we need to know.
Yeah.
It's that practical stuff.
I think it's a combination of many successes that you feel from doing 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. There are mini wins. There's little tiny wins throughout that journey, right?
But what about the first 3 and 7? Okay, so this is the new year, and a lot of people have their resolutions.
Right.
The top 3 are eat better.
Yep.
Exercise more, and lose those fucking fat pounds.
Yep.
Okay, and I think the statistic is like 90% of people are off of the resolution by the end of the first week.
I know, and that's the hardest week. All they had to do was power through it into week 2 and 3.
Okay, Mr. Orlando, tell us what does that mean? What does power through? You get so determined, you just do it. So to you, as you called yourself the caveman, I just do it.
Yeah.
But let's break it down.
Yeah.
Do you affirm yourself? Do you look in the mirror like you did back, at that tipping point and be like, what is it? What is it? What are your little pieces?
For me, it's having people that I want to be accountable to. They don't necessarily even have to hold me accountable, but I want to be accountable to them. So let's just take in this most recent case. Dana White was on my podcast, president of the UFC. And
name drop.
He was on my podcast maybe last September. Don't quote me. He came on, and the first thing I asked him, or one of the first things was, man, because I go to all the fights. You've been to the fights with me.
Yep.
And so I see Dana, almost every week at the fights. And I watched him over the summer from let's say June to, I probably noticed it in July. I was like, wow, Dana looks good. Like he's looking more jacked. He's looking more shredded. And every week I kept going and this guy looked better and better and better. And I was like, what the fuck? All of a sudden he looked like a fucking yoked monster. He looked great, lean, but muscle, Yeah. So I had him on the show and I was like, you've lost weight. What's going on? How'd you do it? And he's like, yeah, I lost 40 pounds. And at the time, maybe it was 30 pounds. But, and he proceeded to tell me that he got a call from a friend that basically told him, hey, man, I've known you 20 years, whatever, and you look fat. You need to do something. You don't look healthy. Imagine we don't have too many friends that have the balls to do that. It was actually Carrie Kasem. If you remember Casey Kasem,
yes.
The radio personality, it was his daughter. Carrie Kasem, who's been friends with Dana for 20 something years. And she was basically like, hey man, like I'm worried about you. Like you don't look good. I want you to call this guy named Gary Brecka, and he is over at 10X Health, and he's going to change your life. I want you to talk to him. So he talks to Gary Brecka. He goes and he does his blood work, and Gary looks at the blood work, and Gary was back east at the time, I think in Florida. And he's like, he calls Dana and like, I'm flying to Vegas tomorrow. I need to meet you in person. It's an emergency. And he comes and he basically sits down with Dana, and he goes, takes him through his blood work. And he basically says, so let me back up. Gary, prior to working or founding 10X Health, Gary is a human biologist. He's not a doctor. He's a biologist. And his day job for 20 years was working with insurance companies, predicting mortality. Wow. So let's say, the CEO of Ford wants a $45 million life insurance policy. Well, the State Farm doesn't just hope I wonder how long he's going to live. You know what I mean? Is he going to outlive the policy or not? So they would bring in someone like a Gary Brecka to look at this guy's blood, look at his medical history, tell me how long he's gonna live.
Wow.
So the insurance so there is a science to that. So Gary apparently was really good at it and could predict it, like, give or take a month or two. In most cases. Sure, sometimes there's an anomaly and someone just defies all the odds, but he can look and go, okay, you smoke, your triglycerides are off the charts, your diet sucks, you smoke, you're not good, you don't work out, you're 100 pounds overweight, whatever. So he told Dana, you got 10.4 years to live. And Dana obviously was like, fuck that. What do I need to do to change? And so Gary put him on keto. Gary doesn't recommend keto for everyone, but he says that he usually recommends it for most people, at least he feels it's the best way to like restart.
Yeah.
things.
It's a good reset. For sure.
Yeah. Reset. Right. So we put Dana on keto, and 14 weeks later, I think Dana lost 40 something pounds. He looks fucking amazing. And so Dana was nice enough to introduce me to Gary. And Gary took me on as a patient. Guys pay this guy a lot of money. You can go through the 10X program and just get your blood work done and get assigned to a doctor, and their team evaluates it. And it's moderately priced. It's not crazy, but when you think about it's the price of your health, I mean, it's worth it. But if you want Gary's personal attention, that's really expensive, but through Dana, I'm lucky enough that I get Gary's personal attention. And so what's made me stick to it is I feel accountable to Dana and to Gary for the opportunity. And there's no way I'm going to fail, at that. So like, I would say like, whether it's your parents or your girlfriend or your wife or your best friend or whoever, who are those people in your life that, can hold you accountable, even if they don't even realize they're the ones, but like putting it out there, like once you start posting it, I mean that, social media takes gets a lot of negative, but there's a lot of positive too. Cause like I did the podcast, obviously I put it out there, like my friends know, and people that don't even know me know, like I'm on this program, I'm on this mission to lose my fat face when I'm on camera. I don't want it, and so I feel that holds me accountable.
Right. That's excellent. I mean, accountability is really, really huge. It inspires you. It keeps you really on track in your own bullshit, because,
Totally.
When we get those moments where we're like, oh, whatever, I'm just going to sneak a little, blah, blah, you like, it's there.
Yeah.
Like that's an enormous, piece of advice that I want everyone to take away too, for sure.
Yeah.
But now there are days and times when you might fall off the wagon. And I think that might have happened. You had a little cheat day, or it was an accident, or it was purposeful. Tell us a little bit about
it's
that.
It's a little of both. So my cheat days, honestly, some may not believe this, but I did do I did a cheat day on New Year's Eve. I had a cookie from Crumble's Cookie. I had a chocolate chip cookie. And then
it looked so good.
It was amazing.
I bet. After 2 months or however long you were on keto, how many months was it at that point?
Over 2 months.
2 months.
Yeah. So I did have one cookie. I easily could have polished off a whole box.
And they're big.
Oh, they're big. Yeah, and they're amazing.
Like the size of my head.
But honestly, I more do that for comedic purposes for Instagram. I easily could have not done the cookie. I'm that strong right now, like with willpower, like no big deal. And I was easy to, I also like to like, it's almost like added pressure. Like, okay, try to eat one of anything that's bad for you. Try to eat one cookie, try to eat one scoop of ice cream. I haven't had any ice cream, but you know what I mean? Like try to eat just one handful of popcorn. And that's it. Like it's almost impossible, you know.
It is.
And so
when
I kind of
have a big bucket. That's so delicious.
So I kind of like adding to the. Even though Gary Brecka would probably hate me, and I'm gonna clip this up and send him the clip so he knows I'll come clean. But like, and it might throw you out of the state of ketosis, you know, because it might spike your insulin level with the sugar from that cookie, especially from crumbles. But I kind of like the kick in the ass of like, okay, like I just tried one. And I didn't fall. I might have fallen off the wagon in that moment, but I got right back on.
So that's interesting too, because a lot of people fall off their wagon of whatever they're trying to do in life. You just got back on. Again, you are like, I think, one of those freaks of nature because your willpower is so strong. Yes, you do have the accountability, so you have some very strong motivators there.
Yeah, but let me cut you off.
Yeah,
but
please.
For 2 years until I just got my shit together, I have said on a Friday, Monday, I'm going into hard training and no more sugar for 30 days. I couldn't even make 3 days. Like you said, most fail within the first week or whatever. I have started and stopped the new, okay, I'm going to get back in shape program. I can't even tell you how many times from 2020 until 11 weeks ago. In 2019, I lost 30 pounds. Same thing, Julian Marquez. Shout out to Julian. He's a UFC fighter, middleweight in the UFC. He posted 30-day challenge, no sugar, no fried food, no ice cream, no bread, you know, a list of 5 things, or 8 things, whatever it was. I put it on my Instagram, on my feed, and I said, I'm doing this. And I got so many people in the comments going, yeah, right, you won't make it 3 days, blah, 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 no chance, we know you, That fueled my fire, and I actually did it for about 6 months. And lost 30 pounds. It was the first time in my life I had a fucking 6-pack. Never in my life, not even as a teen.
Really?
Never. Couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. And that was the year in 2019. You know, Gio is going to hear this and he's going to yell at me again. I've known him 32 years and he's been a trainer for 32 years. He has always told me, like, it's not what you do in the hour in the gym, it's the 23 hours outside the gym, right?
That's right.
And he's told me this and I get it and I hear you. But I didn't hear you. Like it
didn't click.
It didn't click. Sure. And when you do it, you have to do it for it to click. I think you have to actually do it, and lose the weight and see the results for it to like, oh, I get it. Like now I understand what, like if I fall off the wagon Super Bowl weekend. And I have a bunch of people in town and we throw a party and I have fucking pizza and this and that and Doritos and I eat all that shit. I'm 100% going to be 5 to 7 pounds heavier come Monday after Super Bowl weekend if I start going nuts on Friday. Yeah. Fact.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that back then. I never really stepped on a scale. I didn't realize what happens, what the end result is of that. Now compound that, you know, a couple times a week or a couple times a month even. For a year, that's how you gain 25 pounds in a year.
It's insidious.
Like that. You don't even feel it. And you don't see it. I always used to say, don't fat people look in the mirror and see like you don't see you live with you and you don't catch it. Yeah. You have to see like, go off the wagon for 3 weeks and go see someone that hasn't seen you for 10 years. Right. And what they remember, or even 2 years, how they remember you. And they'll be like, wow, you gained some weight. Right? Those people are telling you the truth. Mm-hmm. You get mad at those people when they tell you, but they're doing you a favor and you got to hear it.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. It's like that's rock bottom when someone you know tells you like, you're fat.
Right.
Oh, God.
It hurts.
It hurts so bad.
It hurts, but you got to make it fuel the fire, man. And that's just like the aesthetics. That's just looks, right? Mm-hmm. And so when you sit with a guy named Gary, or a guy like Gary, and he can look at your blood work and he can look at Dana White and go, you got 10.4 years to live. Unless you think he's an idiot and he doesn't know what he's talking about, even though he's been doing this 20 years for $40 million insurance company policies or, you know what I mean? Like this guy knows what he's talking about. To hear that, and now when you start thinking like, dude, I'm 52. So you're telling me if, you know, Dana's a year older than me, like that's it? Dana goes 63 and then it's heart attack. So like, or it just happened. It just happened a few months ago. Coolio died. 58 years old. Remember the rapper Coolio?
Yeah.
Died. He died. I instantly thought of Gary Brecka because I was like, I bet you if someone could have got Coolio to Gary Brecka 8 months ago, he might still be alive. Who knows? I mean, we don't know, but I bet you he just wasn't healthy.
Right.
That's
insane.
Yeah. So it's like that keeps me accountable too now. The blood work. Getting your blood work done, which I'd never done. Or maybe I did for like a physical, but you never saw the results. Like you never...
Right. It's objective, and you have someone on your side that can see beyond it and assimilate what that means. Because most people, when they get their lab work,
it looks like foreign language. I don't know what that means.
Absolutely.
I still don't know what it means, but I know a guy that made it, interpreted it for me, told me you better quit the sugar.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, in traditional Western medicine, me being Western medicine trained, with my nurse practitioner, my DNP, we're not taught how to take that outside of just what it means, like to really interpret and predict, right? We don't have that. So it's just like, well, right now, this is what it looks like. But there are little nuances that shift that, certainly you can extrapolate and do some predictions with. And, people need to really understand not just their physiology, but the stakes that are involved in what they're doing through whatever. So if it's blood work or this guy or whatever, it's, we have to get that pressure on us and really, like I know when I worked in pulmonary medicine, I worked with a lot of people obviously that smoked, saw lung cancers and interstitial lung disease and all this crazy wild stuff, and people were dropping left, right, and center. They kept smoking even though they knew like they're going to die any moment, one pneumonia, one more whatever. And I'm just sitting there going, are you like, I don't get it.
Right.
The switch hasn't flipped on them, right? They're carrying their oxygen tank.
I know.
It's insane.
It's insane.
And then I remember this one patient, and this happened many times, but one person was saying their kids said to them, Daddy, because they learned about this in school about smoking and the effects. Dad, I'm so scared that you're going to die. I don't want you smoking anymore. It hurts me. I don't want to have a life without a dad. That shit is the switch, right? So when the stakes are high, when someone holds you accountable, when someone you love or there's some meaning and fire behind it.
Yeah.
Right?
I'll tell you what, I moved here, it'll be 6 years, June 30th. And I moved my mom here 5 years ago, October 1st, maybe. And when my mom moved here, just 5 years ago, she was witty, funny, forgetful, bad memory, but still witty, funny, maybe not the best driver anymore, but had it together, And then over the last 2 years, she can't really complete a sentence that makes any sense. She has dementia. She can't, doesn't even remember how to put pants on currently, right now. Like, if I go over there right now, it's maybe she's wrapped up in a robe and maybe she's just walking around with no pants on.
Oh, wow.
And she's 83. That's old, but it shouldn't be that.
Right.
And when I think of her diet through the years, Twinkies, ice cream.
Oh, really?
Every day. My mom, ice cream for breakfast. I'm not even kidding. Coffee, ice cream.
Wow.
Twinkies, Pop-Tarts, all the shit that I used to fucking eat all the time. I got it from her. And when sugar is the number one enemy for your body. It just is. And now when I see what that's done to her mental state, I'm not a doctor, but maybe that has nothing to do with it. Maybe it doesn't, but I kind of think it does. I know that it didn't help. I know her diet definitely didn't help where she's at. Yeah. And so that holds me accountable too now. Like, I don't want to be like that when I'm in my 70s and 80s.
That's a huge motivator for you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And yes, sugar is the devil. I do love sugar.
It's great. It makes you feel good. It's fantastic.
The dopamine rush. It's just like, it's
amazing.
Totally. But I'm very particular too about when I have my sugar, but sometimes I just need to have it. But it's inflammation. It is really the devil, the worst thing.
Yeah.
Even, I'm sure we could have debates about this, and there are people that are probably saying that there are worse things like pesticides and blah, 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 whatever. But sugar is really, really awful for the body. So,
and it's a daily thing for almost everyone, and it's in everything.
It is.
I tell everyone, if it comes in a bag, a box, or a jar,
Yeah.
You can't eat it.
Right.
You can't eat it.
Right.
And that's almost everything.
It is. It is almost everything.
You got to eat real food.
Yeah. I'm like a big organic baby food buff.
Really? Like you eat that?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, screw the babies. That baby
like
food
squash and a little Gerber thing? Yeah.
Like, sure. Like right now.
Some carrots?
I'm outing myself. Yeah, I do. Like not all the time. I'm just on this kick kind of right now because I'm going through leaning up a little bit too because I've got this podcast that I have to stay a little bit trim for.
You've really let yourself go.
I have. Yeah. I know. I'm such a fatty. Tell me I'm fat, John. Tell me I'm fat. Just
I'm not going to lie to you. I cannot lie to you. Yeah.
I need some motivator here.
Yeah.
No. No, I do. I'm not a big cooker. As you said, I did bikini muscle competitions. I did win some gold medals with them. So I was very successful and very strategic with that. I did not eat baby food at that time. But now I do a little bit of meal prep. I'm like very low carb. I didn't always used to eat a lot of meat, but I intuitively eat and I'm just like really need a lot of meat right now. And to just get some nutrients, I eat that. And just for a little bit of a sugar rush, I will have the fruits and vegetables. Yeah, it's like, there's one that's like really good. Sweet potatoes with raspberry and carrots and whatever.
Okay.
It's like super gross. I'm sure if any adult. Organic. And I know I try to eat as much organic as possible, but organic doesn't mean shit because if it's grown in soil, even if there's no pesticides, our soil is so depleted.
Yeah.
So I still take a gazillion different types of vitamins that I'm like very anal about what kinds, like that's a whole other episode in itself. But our nutrition is super important.
Yeah.
But I'm trying not to eat as much candy sugar because I would and have lived just off of sugar.
Yeah. Like it's so easy to do.
Postpartum for the first week, I would just have like this white chocolate. I'm drooling right now a little bit. This white chocolate raspberry loaf from Great Harvest Bread Co.
Yeah.
Like my absolute favorite. I would eat a loaf a day. That's it. It was probably 1,000 calories.
I could eat cinnamon raisin toast all day long.
All day. Yeah. And even though I was only eating that sugar, I still had a 6-pack by day 7, which my now ex-husband at the time posted that on social media. And I'm like, do you want every woman in the world to fucking hate me right now that has 7 days postpartum of a 6-pack? But that's all I ate. Like you can still lose weight even though you're eating like the devil food. But I do eat baby food just right now.
Yeah.
Just as a crutch.
I like it.
So yeah, there's tons of sugar, I'm sure, in it. Even though it's organic sugar, it's still sugar.
Yeah.
But I cut myself a little bit of slack too. Mm-hmm. So that's my little secret to my diet right now.
I'm going to skip the baby food portion of the diet.
I think you probably should. So what is it that you eat? We have to wrap up here pretty soon, but
what do I eat? I don't mind eating the same thing every day. I am a creature of habit, so
Me too,
I know that would bother a lot of people. Like I can eat, like in the morning I have scrambled eggs with turkey and cheese and maybe some bacon. That's the cool thing with keto is, it's 70% fat. So
good.
You can have avocado and guacamole and you just can't have white flour. You can have sweet potatoes. So for like lunch, I might have, you try to stay under 50 grams of carbs. So for lunch, I'll have like chicken breast and some sweet potato or chicken breast and like some sort of cheese with it, like burrata cheese or something like that. And then same thing for dinner. Chicken breast or steak, one or the other, a lot of steak. I don't mind red meat. And a lot of bacon, and I'll have keto bread. So there's a lot of keto substitutes. Like the keto bread's fine. Like it's not, believe me, I love bread, but keto bread's fine.
Nice.
Keto buns for cheeseburgers. So I've turned into that guy that I used to make fun of when I was in LA. Like I literally go, like every Sunday we watch football over at Resorts World in the sports book, and I bring 2 keto buns in a Ziploc bag, and I'll get like a cheeseburger or 2 and swap out the bun for my bun. And people looking at me like, what is this guy doing? And
that is
like,
so
I don't
funny.
care. No fucks given. Yeah.
I know. I'm like known for like my bag chicken, like Ziploc chicken girl. Like I would weigh, I used to weigh my food. I was so crazy about it. Even now though, I mean, I'll meal prep or whatever. I'll just have my baggie of chicken.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll take it with me wherever. There's some in my fucking bag right now, just because when I'm hungry I want to eat and I don't want to like make some mistake in my
snacks. I have like cashews or pistachio nuts, yogurt with some blueberries, You can't. I miss bananas. You can't have bananas on keto.
Yeah.
You only have berries: strawberry, blueberry, raspberry. I only like blueberries.
You might want to
though.
try some baby food. That's what I'm going to get
Yeah.
you. Mm-hmm. Baby food.
I don't know, man. It kind of grosses me out. No, like the texture, it just looks weird. I don't know.
No, I can spoon feed you too if you want to.
Yeah.
Just maybe we'll do like some regression.
Some sweet potato. You heat it up. And...
No, out of the pouch. Oh, squeeze in your mouth.
No, can't do it.
No?
No.
Like a straw. I'll put...
No.
If I make it like a puree, like a sundae.
No, I mean...
Like in a cup, and I'll just squeeze it. I won't show you.
I can't eat it with a fork. I don't... Here's a fun fact. I hate spoons. I hate spoons.
You do not.
I do. I hate metal spoon. I can do a plastic spoon. A metal spoon is like nails on a chalkboard for me. I can't do it. Obviously, there's some things you don't have a choice with, like ice cream or cereal. Like you can't do cereal. But like ice cream, I will literally eat with a fork. Like if I'm at a restaurant and they bring out, like they clear the table and then sometimes orders ice cream and they bring spoons, I'm always like, can I get a fork? And they always look at me like, what do you want a fork for? And I will eat ice cream with a fork.
Do you ever use a straw?
I love straws. I like a straw.
So you can slurp the baby food.
But it would be cold or hot?
Room temperature.
No, can't do a straw with
cold?
Warm. Cold. No, but I can't eat it cold.
You want it warm.
Fuck the baby food. I can't do it. I'm out on baby food. You lost me at baby food. Yeah, I'm out.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think we are at time here. This is great. I got to know a little bit more about you.
Yeah,
it's great.
Too much, I think. TMI. TMI for sure.
A little bit too much about me, too. Yeah, everyone's going to be laughing at me with baby food. It is just for a short time, just because I don't have a lot of time to meal prep everything. Anyway, so everyone needs to watch your Junkeez series of
Never
podcasts.
mind that. Everyone needs to watch your show. You're really good at this.
Do.
See, I told you were going to be a natural.
And you told me.
I knew.
You told me 30 days. Yeah, I remember that. You gave me that advice and things can turn around. And you did say I would be addicted to it, and I totally am.
There you go.
But I also was made for this. I've been a performer my whole life. So this is just beautiful. Yeah, and all of you out there that are inspired to do your podcast, you need to film here. So, Sticky Paws Studios. All right, until next time. See ya.